Hello, universe. Welcome to the most spectacular wrestling podcast you will find on the internet. You are listening to Tag Me In, bro. I'm Joe Tantillo, and as always, I'm seated next to my terrific co-host, Taryn O'Connor. Say hi to the people, Taryn.
Hi to the people, Taryn.
If you're new to the show, the format is simple. Each week, we discuss all the magnificent moments, turbulent times, and stunning surprises that professional wrestling has to offer.
So turn your radio up and your opinions down, because we've got some hot tags coming up NXT, which means next.
Give me a hell yeah! I said give me a hell yeah!
Hello, universe. It's your boy, Joe Tantillo, coming to you live from Buffalo, New York on a very gray afternoon. There is so much going on today in this episode. We can't wait to share it with you. If you've been following us on Twitter, you know that we have been out and about recently. So many stories to tell, looking forward to it, but let's dive right into that content, folks. You don't want to miss out on 1 second of Tag Me In Bro content, so go on Twitter right now and follow us at Tag Me In Bro, and you can join our almost 5,000 other followers. Now, I hope everyone is excited for the show because it is about to go down in a big way. Today, tomorrow, and every day, we are talking wrestling. First things first, we'll cover the Raw Rundown, where we'll give you our analysis of the most important bits of last night's show. After that, we've got our Hi to the People segment, where we engage the audience to find out more about your views on various topics. This week being, was Lashley's Sisters the worst Raw segment of all time? After that, we take a trip to the Indie Corner, and then we move on to our main event, where we'll be talking about the question on everyone's mind this week. And this week, the question on everyone's mind is, what makes a bad wrestling segment? And then, of course, we close out the show the same way that we do every night with our Stars of the Night. So we'll be talking much more about all of that after we get to the Raw Rundown. Woo! Here are the only 5 things you need to know about Monday Night Raw this week. Number 5, Lashley's Sisters. Number 4, Natty in the Bank. Number 3, Roman Complains. Number 2, Nia Jax Ronda Rousey contract signing. And number 1, Strowman vs. Balor. Let's start with number 5. Bobby Lashley's Sisters is one of the worst segments that I have ever seen on WWE television. Though I must admit, you can't fix bad writing, and Sami Zayn certainly tried his hardest to make it good, but it was just absurd. You had fake sisters of Bobby Lashley's coming out to say how he somehow abused them, but not really. He was just kind of a bully, but it was just weird, and Sami trying to play it up like it was a big deal, and it was just bad. It was just bad. It doesn't really deserve any more time than this. It was terrible, not even hilariously terrible, just terrible. How that makes it out of the writer's room, I will never understand. Number 4, Natty in the Bank. Natalya qualified for Money in the Bank, and a lot of people actually think that she is now the favorite to win the women's ladder match. I do not personally think she's the favorite, though I understand how you could think that Ronda is going to beat Nia and that Natty will cash in on her. Continuing their storyline, we shall see what unfolds there, but Money in the Bank certainly is getting exciting. Number 3, Roman Complains. Stephanie McMahon returned, and Roman came out, even though Stephanie didn't really say anything specifically about Roman, except for sort of a passing comment, to complain about how he never gets his opportunities, and blah, 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 and they don't want him near the Universal Championship. And then Kevin Owens came out and was like, Roman, you're a loser. And Stephanie also kind of said, Roman, you're a loser. Which I agree. You know how we always used to complain about how Roman wins all the time? They kind of went the opposite direction, and now he really does just seem like a guy who, can't get the job done. Why would we ever cheer for this guy? I just, there's no appeal. He has the right look, but just, I can't stand the whining. He's not an underdog. Just beat some people up, Roman. Just do it, man. Come on. You're better than that. Nia and Ronda signed their contract for their Women's Raw title match at Money in the Bank. Nia got all riled up, and Stephanie was there egging her on. Stephanie did a great job playing the heel this week, as she always does. Said she's gonna, Ronda can't beat her, and Nia will make a name for herself, blah, blah, blah. A lot of people were like, oh, is Nia a heel now? I don't know if she's necessarily a heel, but she's being positioned as more heelish for this match. Once again, will this match be any good? We'll see. It's Ronda's first one-on-one match, so we all are waiting with heightened anticipation to see if Ronda can impress us the same way that she did at WrestleMania. I certainly am looking forward to this. And finally, number 1, Braun Strowman versus Finn Balor. In what was a spectacular match, they demonstrated that even Finn Balor, if booked and written correctly, can look like he is a legitimate contender against Braun Strowman. Finn really seemed like he could have won this match, and that's how wrestling should work all the time. Any person should be able to beat any other person because we suspend our disbelief, and if you make it seem like someone like Finn Balor, who is incredibly athletic and used his speed and athleticism to outwit Braun Strowman, you can make a compelling match. And Braun did get the victory in the end, but it was great. And, we love Braun here, we love Finn, so we were glad to see both of these guys in the main event, get a little spotlight on them. They're both going to be in the Money in the Bank. I'm very much looking forward to that men's match. It is shaping up to be exceptional. And that was that, ladies and gentlemen. Your Raw rundown is complete. We thought the episode was fine. There was some good stuff, but there was some bad stuff too. Let us know your thoughts on social media. Always eager to hear what you guys have to think, and we love talking to you. And speaking of social media, it is time to say hi to the people. This week on Hi to the People, we want to know your thoughts on Was Lashley Sisters the worst Raw segment you've ever seen? We'll be running a Twitter poll for the next 72 hours and discussing the results here on our show next week, so let us know exactly what you think about that. You can vote on Twitter by tweeting at us and using the hashtag #HotTag, or email us at tagmeandbro@gmail.com if you fancy, to share your opinion and maybe have your thoughts right on the show, and every week we read out some of our favorite responses. Now let's talk about the results of last week's topic. We asked you, does Ronda Rousey deserve her title shot? And you said no. 56% of you said no, and 44% said yes. At Sierra Strange on Twitter just said vomit. We talked about this a lot last week. I don't know if I personally feel that Ronda is 100% deserving based on her current accolades within the story of WWE. However, Nia, as the champion, retains the right to challenge whoever she wants, and I do respect that decision, though it's not my favorite method of picking a champion. Though you guys, obviously, majority do not think she deserves a title shot, which I think is completely fair, because she really hasn't done much yet. But we're gonna, obviously, they're giving her a chance. We'll see what happens. Will they put the strap on her right away? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Let's hope it's a good match, because I never hope for anyone to fail in wrestling, because I only ever want the product to be really, really good. Great thoughts from you guys. Can't wait to hear your thoughts on Lashley's Sisters. We'll talk about it next week.
Bullet Club is fine.
Let's take a spin down to the Indie Corner. Joining me for the Indie Corner today is my real-life bro from the same Mo and my occasional co-host, John Tantillo at BFLO Codebreaker on Twitter. John, say hi to the people.
Show's called Tag Me In, Bro, right? Well, I'm tagging this bro in.
He hit me in the chest. That kind of hurt. And that was not bad for an intro, though. Like, I like that one. Usually you suck, but you did a pretty good job.
I'm trying to decrease my suckage lately.
Well, you're working at it. You sure are. You sure are trying. Anyway, I brought John onto the Indie Corner this week because we did a lot over this past weekend that we need to discuss with you guys. So first things first, this past Saturday we attended the Nickel City Con at the Buffalo Convention Center, which is Buffalo's local Comic-Con, which was tremendous fun. Well done to the guys who put that on from David Adams' card shop or comic shop. Really, really well put together event and a lot of cool wrestling stuff going on. Hulk Hogan was there, Jimmy Hart was there, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat was there, and of course the Young Bucks were there. And while all of those other people were, we wanted to see them, but they were very expensive. However, we can afford to see the Young Bucks, so we did, and we met them, and I gotta say, it was really cool, and they are just the nicest guys in real life. John, what'd you think?
Oh my god, unbelievably nice people. I mean, just such easy people to talk to. We talked to them about All In. We actually asked them to settle a little bit of an argument that we had about whether their chant was Be Elite or The Elite. I won that argument, by the way.
Oh, yeah, so the argument was, just to fill you guys in, if you watch Being the Elite at the beginning, there's a chant, and I thought it was Be Elite. John thought it was The Elite. It is The Elite, though people chant Be Elite, and they say Be Elite at Ring of Honor shows. So the Young Bucks said it was an easy mistake to make, but I was wrong. And John was right. And it is awesome to have a dispute and actually have the wrestlers involved settle that dispute. So I did not mind being wrong in this case. But they were super, super nice. We got a photo with them. We put that out on our Twitter, which was super cool. So thank you again to Nick and Matt Jackson. Cannot wait to see you guys wrestle sometime very soon. Hope you come back to Buffalo with ROH in the future. And if you wouldn't mind bringing some of those New Japan guys along too, that would be much appreciated because we do not get a lot of those shows here. The other thing we did on Saturday was we went to one of our local indie promotions, Empire State Wrestling ESW. They put on a terrific, terrific show, and we just thought we'd chat about it for a little bit because there were a few people in particular who we believe deserve a shout out, and if you're not paying attention to them on the indie scene, you really should be. The main two really being this guy, Big Time Bill Collier. He wrestled Stevie Richards of Blue World Order fame, who was there, and Stevie still looks great, still in top shape. But Big Time Bill Collier wrestled him. This guy is a presence in the ring. He's massive, great physique, good look, very good ability. Very surprised he hasn't made it off of the indie scene yet. I think that there's a good chance we could be seeing more of him in the future on a larger scale. Though I'm not sure what his age is, if I'm being honest. But I think he's on the younger side. I don't think he was actually too old. John, what do you think?
He was very Big Cass-esque in presence, but with a lot more maneuverability and just general presence with him about the ring. And some of the stuff that he did and just some of the stuff in general that we saw that night was way, way above what our expectations were. We'll get into talking about him a little more later, but Kevin Blackwood actually pulled off one move that started as pile driver and ended up as like a pile driver gut buster, and it was something that I had never, ever seen before, and it was just wow.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about going to some of these smaller indie promotions. These guys, like, they bust their asses and pull out stuff that, like, first of all, WWE wouldn't allow, but, you know, stuff to make a name for themselves, and they're always experimenting and doing new stuff. And we don't go to a lot of the really small indies, not because we don't want to, but just because you don't always necessarily know where they are or know how to get tickets because they are smaller scale. But we're trying to do more of the indie stuff around New York State, New York City, which is, you know, where we reside. Really, really glad we got a chance to go to the show. John mentioned Kevin Blackwood. This is a kid who, you know, he had been mentioned to me on Twitter a couple times in the past few months. I've been checking out some of his stuff. To see him wrestle in person was amazing. I really think that he has the talent to succeed well beyond the indies. He totally had a vibe that for me could work exceptionally well in NXT. Aleister Black-esque, but something slightly different to it also. They call him the Phantom Limb. He has an all-black tattoo down the entirety of one of his arms, so it looks like it's almost invisible. Just a cool dude with a lot of cool charisma and presence, you know, sort of a gothic edge to him. Definitely was impressed by his ability. He wrestled Petey Williams, which was a great match. If you've never seen Petey Williams wrestle, when he hits that Canadian Destroyer in person, it is a sight to behold. John, what did you think about that match?
Oh, that match was easily the best one on the card, in my opinion. It was just, these two guys are out there busting their asses, and those moves are just so stiff. We were mentioning it the whole time, but the chops, the strikes, all of them are just brutally stiff, so it's incredibly impressive what they're doing. Not even to mention the other names on the card, Jimmy Jacobs, Kevin Bennett, who is their current heavyweight champion, and Simon Grimm, who I believe you have a little bit of a funny story about an encounter with Simon Grimm.
I do. So I hadn't been to an indie show in a while, and I forget that the wrestlers just kind of hang out there before and after the show. So I got to the show, I walk into the bathroom, and I literally walk right into Simon Grimm, who is doing his mustache and making it all nice with the wax in the mirror. Bumped right into him. First of all, the guy is massive. I'm not small. I'm 6 foot, about 185 pounds. You know, and he just made me feel tiny, really tiny. Super muscular guy, but I walk in and he's talking to some other guy, and I overheard the end of their conversation, and they were having a conversation complaining about how the titles, and this is not safe for work, the titles of porn parodies these days just aren't as creative as they used to be in the earlier era, which I was just cracking up because in what other situation are you hanging out and you're in a bathroom and Simon Grimm is there and this is the conversation? It was just hilarious. Honestly, if you've never been to a smaller indie show, you're doing yourself a disservice. You should definitely go. You get a lot of FaceTime with the wrestlers, a lot of people who have either been at the big time or who are trying to get to the big time, or honestly, a lot of people who are really talented who never got the break that they deserve. I'm always saying there's more out there than WWE. You really should support indie wrestling and non-WWE brands. And you guys know we love WWE. It's our favorite. But it's great when you can see other stuff that's going on and just expand your love and your knowledge of wrestling. So those are our stories. Definitely looking forward to sharing more with you as we go to future shows. There was a wrestler there named Puff who's wrestling Joey Ryan at their next show on June 30th. So if you're in the Buffalo, New York area, check out Empire State Wrestling, ESW. Definitely worth your time.
Nobody is ready for Oscar.
And now, it's time for the main event. This week in the main event, we're talking about what makes a WWE segment bad. And I'm sure that you can surmise that we are discussing this because of the abhorrent segment that was Lashley's Sisters. Not the worst segment I've ever seen. That would probably go to either... Well, we'll talk about it. So every once in a while, you get a segment in WWE that you can't forget because it's just so bad. Perhaps the most famous of which being the Katie Vick segment, which was bad for very different and offensive reasons and weirdness. But you get other, just to name on a couple other few bad segments. The anonymous Raw general manager was pretty terrible. John Cena versus Michael Cole. Obviously, the old day, and of course, my least favorite, Bayley, This Is Your Life. Now, what is it about all these segments? Because they're all different, but they're all horrible. And John and I today are just going to discuss a few things that make a WWE segment truly bad. So, John, why don't you start us off?
The first thing is pretty obvious. It's just bad writing. I mean, let's take the old day, for example. Gallows and Anderson, great at promos, naturally hilarious. The New Day, obviously the most charismatic tag team in wrestling right now. But there's something about abhorrent, unironically terrible writing that's just, you can't overcome it. And I mean, some of those segments they've got Vince written all over them. I bet he thinks it's hilarious. I mean, like the New Day, obviously, it's the old day. It's funny, they're old.
They're in a retirement home. I mean, yeah. It's when it's not that Vince McMahon himself has a bad sense of humor, because I honestly don't know, because I don't know the man. But it's that general, like, old person sense of humor. Like, you can tell he's, like, over 65 when, like, something that is not funny in the modern era, because, like, they just don't understand, like, meme culture or, like, modern humor or cynicism or anything that go, or, like, being meta, all the things that go into, like, the stuff that's funniest today, like Rick and Morty, for example. You can tell that they just don't get any of that. It's all very, like, on the nose and just so... It's like, look at the joke. This is the joke. The joke's right here. Like, the Lashley Sisters segment, it's like, oh man, look, they're not really, like, women. They're in dresses and they got fake boobs. Like, Jesus. It's just, first of all, like, a man dressing up as a woman is, like, not comedy anymore. I mean, it's offensive to people who do drag or to trans people. I don't think they were trying to be offensive, but, like, I'm sure they didn't even consider that. But B, it's just not fun. It's just not funny. It's like, it's such old school. It's that old it's like that old guy humor. Like, oh, isn't it hilarious? It's a man in a dress. It's funny. Like, why? So, like, that is one of the main things that really messes up these segments, is this attempt at comedy that, like, you might as well, like, throw a fucking pie in someone's face, which they've done before. They've done before. Yeah. The other thing is, like, it's all well and good to have guys like, you know, Breezango doing comedy bits. Or even the New Day, because they do it so well. But why are you taking a guy like Bobby Lashley, who's a dominant, like, MMA, like, world champion material guy, and a guy like Sami Zayn, who's ridiculously talented as well, and I guess is on the funny side, but still not like... When I think of Sami Zayn, I don't think comedian. I still think underdog wrestler. Why are you putting these two into it? Like, it's the choices of people. It was the same thing with Bayley, This Is Your Life. Like, why Alexa Bliss and Bayley? Like, the choice just seemed so out of place at the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, go for it.
It's just, like, here's the difference between having good people in a bad segment and a bad talker in a fine segment. You take Sami Zayn and Bobby Lashley. Sami Zayn is obviously incredibly gifted with promos. Bobby Lashley is good, but not great, I would say. And you put them in this weird segment with the bad writing, and it's just, you could tell Sami Zayn was trying so hard to make this work, and more power to him. I mean, his performance was good. He did the best with what he had. But then you take a look at something like Ronda's first promo, which was bad. Like, she was stiff on the mic. It wasn't good, but we don't remember that because of how far she's come. Or even Roman, he's come so far from suffering succotash, obviously. I mean,
Tater tots.
Oh, God, don't even say those words around me. But go from, like, suffering succotash to his John Cena promos, and you can see how much he's improved, so you can't linger on that as much. But I mean, Old Day is always going to be bad. Bayley, This Is Your Life is always going to be bad. Lashley's sisters, same thing. It's just, you can't overcome that bad writing. It's when it's a whole segment, like a throwaway. Like, we'll never forget Suffering Succotash, but it was a throwaway line. Like, the whole segment wasn't based around that. And I think that's one of the bigger differences. Like, when it's a whole segment, it takes up a whole, like, 10 or 15 minutes of our time. Like, we're not going to forget it when it's terrible. Like, when it's so bad, like, people change the channel. Like, and here's the problem is WWE has this new deal with Fox and with NBC, and they've got all this money now. And Meltzer was saying, like, they have so much money from TV rights now that they basically don't ever need to sell another pay-per-view ticket or a t-shirt or anything. Like, they have enough money to stay afloat and be rich forever. So my fear is that we get more segments like this because Vince is just going to be like, oh, it really doesn't matter what the fans think now. My hope is that Vince is getting older and will eventually be slowly pushed out by Triple H and Stephanie and Shane to make room for better content. But you never know. So, any other thoughts on bad wrestling segments in general? Just do less of them, please.
Here's the thing. Unless, like, you had so many segments, like, back in the day, like Kurt Angle doing, like, the Jimmy Crack Corn, but that was funny because, like, he made it funny. Like, the writing wasn't bad. Like, if the base idea is bad, there is no saving it. Like, everybody knew Lashley's sisters was gonna be bad. Like, we could tell it was bad before they even got to it. Bayley, This Is Your Life, we knew was gonna be bad because it was just trying to, like, call back to Attitude Era, you know, The Rock and Mankind doing This Is Your Life. Don't do that. Like, just stop. You can't stop.
I just hope it doesn't. I really hope it doesn't ruin the feud like how This Is Your Life ruined Bayley versus Alexa.
The feud's already ruined. It's already terrible. It did ruin the feud. It's terrible. I don't care. I don't care about the feud. I want it to be over.
I just want it to be a good match. Just please, at least that much.
We'll see. Who knows when we'll even get it. Anyway, that was the main event for today. I very much enjoyed that discussion. And can't wait to hear what you guys think. So now, let's finish the show the way that we do every week with our Stars of the Night. Here are our Stars of the Night for Monday Night Raw, May 21st, 2018 edition.
You just made the list!
Number 3, Stephanie McMahon, the Billionaire Princess, returned to Monday Night Raw with a terrific performance, making us remember why we miss her on our television when she is gone. Even though we love to hate her, she is on the list. Number 2, Seth Rollins continues to perform at top level, though not enough of a significant position on the show this week to earn him the number 1 spot. That honor this week goes to Finn Balor, who put on a spectacular match against Braun Strowman and looked as good as he's looked since he came onto the main roster. Finn Balor, thank you for an entertaining match. You deserve it. Well, that will do it for us here at Tag Me In Bro. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Tag Me In Bro and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Podbean, TuneIn, Google Play, or wherever podcasts are found. Also, go on iTunes and give us a 5-star review if you enjoy the show, like we say every single week. It helps us out so much. iTunes gives preferential treatment to 5-star shows, so we could really use your assistance. As always, we're eager to hear your thoughts, comments, questions, answers, so please let us know what you liked, what you hated, and what you could give a damn about. For my co-host today, John Tantillo, I have been Joe Tantillo, and we are Los Ingobernables de Tantillo. Thank you for listening to Tag Me In Bro, and we will see you tomorrow for SmackDown Live with Taryn O'Connor and Tommy Rowe. Goodbye, Universe.
Goodbye, Universe.